my parents were very big on this concept that while they migrated here, outside my older brother, the rest of us were born here. So they were cognizant of the fact that they were raising Black Americans, even though their heritage was Jamaican. Mm-hmm. And so they went to painstaking details to ensure that we understood. Yeah. That's what I mean by the context. Understood the history of the struggles that people endured in order for us to benefit what the current scenario is. So that whole concept of celebration does require context. I mean, you don't have the historical narrative. Right. You can't really fully approach 250 years with without the full context of what happens.
Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Debleaire Snell.
Boom! All right.
What's up?
Indeed.
And it's an even bigger explosion because we got an explosion of color over here.
Color
and femininity over here.
We like it, man.
We got Pastor Debleaire Snell. We got Pastor Kirk Nugent.
Let's go.
And we have Mrs. Danita Jones.
That is me. Yeah.
Good
I'm
to have
excited.
you with us. And David Person.
We've been having way too much black and gray last few weeks. So we said, let's bring in some color,
that's
some
right.
life, some perspective.
Come on.
There you go.
Right,
Make it work.
Right.
Make it dazzling.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And you did. You came in with the matching glasses and dress. I like that.
Come on.
I like
Let's
that.
go.
She walked in. It was just like a whole new
Look at you.
atmosphere.
Listen.
It shifted.
Flattery will get you everywhere is what I'm saying.
Good stuff.
Oh man,
absolutely.
I'm glad we can laugh. As we get ready to dive into this topic.
Yeah, you're right.
You need the laughter first.
Yeah, we need the laughter.
We're gonna talk today because the 4th of July is coming up. The Monday that this drops, the Sabbath that comes after it, right after it, is 4th of July.
That's right.
And we know that in addition to the usual Independence Day celebrations, our nation is celebrating its 250th anniversary. So we want to talk today about patriotism and what it means to be an American for us as Black people, as Seventh-day Adventist people. So first of all, let me ask everybody, how do you normally celebrate the 4th of July?
We do barbecue. I mean fireworks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole traditional kind of.
Yeah, the traditional. Yeah,
Okay.
for the most part. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's been like that even from when we were kids, growing up at home with my parents. Yeah, we usually do something like that. Now it might include like some oxtail or something that doesn't have anything to do with.
I mean, it's gonna be your house.
Is that 4th of July food?
I don't know. I don't think so. But it was in my house.
I don't know that we have like a set tradition because sometimes we're traveling. Sometimes on the holidays we may be visiting family or on assignment somewhere else. But I am a big fireworks person. So I will stop by one of these little janky places, get some fireworks on the way in. Try to, hopefully, usually it's maybe restful, hopefully as well.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, but it kind of depends on where we are.
I grew up where 4th of July was a huge like family reunion type on my mother's side of the family. Okay. So we would go over to her brother's house and like the entire family would be over there. They would set up the volleyball net and it became a tradition to play this very botched rules volleyball game. So much so that like when you were trying to like vet boyfriends, you'd be like, let's see how you do in the volleyball game. Because like it's egregious. Like it was very like, it was going to make or break you. Like breakups would happen after the 4th of July. The hashtag the boyfriend now is there because he survived the volleyball game. He survived.
All right, PJ. All right.
Right. But after, people started to pass away, it just kind of turned into like a thank goodness for the holiday. I think it's more so like of a restful thing for us, but our tradition has turned into finding like the biggest fireworks show.
Yeah.
Like our kids now, like we look for the biggest fireworks show in the city, and we go and we find good seating and we just watch that. And that's, at the end of the day. So,
And I'm going to say I'm probably unique among this group of people. I don't recall my parents ever celebrating the 4th of July.
Okay.
Now, we may have gone to somebody's house for, to eat and whatever. But in terms of actual celebration, don't remember.
In Chicago, was that the Taste of Chicago? Was that 4th of July weekend?
I don't remember. I know it happened.
Okay.
This
I used
big
to
festival.
love-
That used to be a
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
whole
Taste of
thing. I
Chicago.
remember
Yeah,
going, and I
yeah.
was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I don't remember if that was 4th
Okay.
of July weekend.
It
or
was
just
in the
sometime
summer,
in
but
summer.
I don't know.
I thought
if
it was in August because I remember being up there one time for August and missing it by a couple of days. But it's
Yeah.
funny you say about not celebrating because, like, I was well into middle school before I knew that people identified the 4th of July as Independence Day. Like, I'd never heard that term.
Okay.
So,
okay.
when we talked about the 4th of July in our house, it was just like the 4th of July. It was interesting, I think, culturally, they very much distanced themselves from the term Independence Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until much later that I was just like, oh, we clearly view this differently from the rest of the nation.
Yeah.
Which I think was that's when I really started to like recognize how, especially with my mother's family being from the South, especially that Scottsboro side, like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
That wasn't.
A lot of weighted history.
Yeah,
there.
we don't. It wasn't Independence Day.
Yeah.
That was something
Wow,
that I
wow.
kind of noticed as I got older.
And for those who don't know, Google Scottsboro boys, and you'll have a sense of what. I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
You're suggesting. There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for Black people, I think, and Black Seventh-day Adventist people, well, just for Black people, I think the 4th of July has been challenging for many of us.
Yeah.
Whether you want to think about, Frederick Douglass's famous speech about what to the slave does 4th of July mean? It means nothing. That speech is famous because it is a very direct, and I would even say caustic critique of America. So this idea of celebrating this country, I think, has always been created a sort of a dynamic tension. I'll speak for myself. I have some pride being an American, but I also have grave concerns, and even, well, to summarize it, I'll just say, I think it was James Baldwin who said that if you are a Black person in America and you're not angry, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just think even as you have the conversation about patriotism, especially in our time, I think that there's some in the culture that patriotism is only a blind allegiance and affirmation of the American ideal. And I just think the problem with that, because honestly, I'm an enthusiastic American. I travel other places, and I'm always grateful to get back home. It's the best way I can say it. And there's some places I love, but this is home. This is the only home I know.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
This is home.
So, but I think that there's some, unfortunately, that I guess live with an ignorance. That there are some that have had a different experience in America.
True. Agreed.
And I just think ignorance to that reality, causes some to kind of have a love it or leave it disposition.
Yeah.
Or to say, man, or only to look at where we are now, divorced from history, and to just kind of sweep that under the rug. And I just think that's a flawed approach. I just think that, I think the strength of America is there are certain ideals. Now, have we lived out those ideals? Have those ideals been available and accessible to all people, I think we can say in truth that has not been the case.
Yeah.
But I just think that, that idea that the only way you can be considered patriotic is that if you affirm, applaud, and only acknowledge, the good, without there being any critique, without there being a call to do better, that's patriotic. It's me saying, okay, we've got to be in practice who we are on paper. And I think at any moment we stop seeking to live out those creeds and ideals that the founders put in place, then we cease to move toward being that perfect union.
How do you have love for not just country, but even for the people in your life if there's no sense of accountability? We don't even do that with our children or our spouses or our siblings. We love them, but we want accountability. We love them in spite of their flaws. And I think it should be the same with our country. We can love our country, but we can also say our country needs to be accountable. And we can say, I love, as you, I think, very well put it, I love that I can travel wherever but come back to America and experience America. But that love does not also say that
it's not an endorsement of everything that happens.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think it feels a little bit like, and this is just from the perspective of being a Black woman in America, it feels like an abusive relationship, like an abusive marriage, right? And there are moments where I feel like the call for patriotism is almost like being gaslit. Because oftentimes when you have people that are in abusive relationships, there's this fear, and the abuser usually is just like, why are you scared, or why are you acting like this, or it wasn't that bad, or you can't make me, you're making it as if I'm gonna do it again. And the person that's being abused is like, that's the only thing I have to go off of. I'm looking at the history, and you can't pretend that in our relationship there was not this abuse that took place. And so, oftentimes in tumultuous relationships, you have the person that's being abused that'll hold on to the good times because that's all we have. And I feel like that's what America is to Black people. It's just like we're in this abusive relationship where there are times where we can acknowledge that, there were some good moments, but at the end of the day, we find ourselves in these conversations where it's just like, hey, why are you still upset about what happened back then? Get over it. And you're like, well, we can't, because we're still reeling from what has already happened before.
So I use this illustration, I think, in a sermon, and hopefully it'll maybe add some context to the conversation. So I remember I was somewhere where there was water, there was an ocean, and so on the waters, we're kind of hanging out at the dock, and so we see this one pretty large boat go by. It's just coasting through the boat. Everybody is just having a good time, because it's a large boat. They got their drinks on the side of the boat. It's just seamlessly moving through the water. There's another small little fishing boat, and it's just getting rocked back and forward by the waves, just getting bantied back and forward. It's motoring through. And so when the people came to the deck, somebody was like, "How's the water?" So the folk on the big boat were like, "Oh, it's great, man. The water was fantastic, man. It was just a lovely day, man. It's like we weren't even on the water." The person in the smaller boat comes in, it's just like, "Yo, man, it was rough out here today, man. We barely made it through." So on and so forth, And it's amazing because you can both be in the same part of the water,
Lord,
but have
mercy.
two different experiences based upon what boat you're in. And I just think that larger idea in terms of like that informs kind of how we perceive America. It kind of did, we're both in the same part of the water. But
we're in the fishing boat.
We're in different we're in different boats.
For sure.
I just think that failure to acknowledge that is going to kind of, create this ugly narrative of, people that don't have gratitude or appreciation for the liberties and freedoms that we have here in America. I'm like, no, we appreciate the liberties and the freedoms, but but those liberties and freedoms were not equally distributed to all men at all times. And even as we see certain things unfolding today.
Yeah.
There are measures being taken to remove some of those liberties and freedoms to select people groups within this nation. And so I just think that, even as we talk about it, I just think there has to be an honest dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's got to be a grasp of history. There's got to be context.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not necessarily even to indict all white people, because I think even when you look at the civil rights movement, man, we had dope,
Yep.
brave,
Yep.
Allies.
white allies,
Yeah.
Jewish allies,
Yep.
Yes.
people from other churches, all denominations, Jews,
And no
and no denominations as well,
Yeah.
that showed up to stand with us at great peril to themselves.
Yeah.
Agreed.
When
For sure.
life could have been very comfortable for them,
Yeah.
had they just looked the other way. And so I just think, even the triumph of African Americans in America, even the idea of trying to kind of get rid of woke ideology to erase the African American experience is actually to dilute the triumph of America.
True.
When you do that.
That's a great
You know what
point.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
this
That's
is
a
not
great point.
just a black celebration. It is the celebration of how far we have come as a nation.
Absolutely.
Especially in light of the horrible origins or genesis of kind of how certain people landed here,
Yeah.
or why we were brought here. So I just think even to deny that is
Yeah.
denying some of the beauty
Yeah.
that has come out of the pain of the American experience.
Yeah.
Let's drop some
That's so good.
names.
That's good.
For those who don't know, you talked about white people who were allies.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those allies also were martyrs.
Martyrs, very much. Yep.
Michael Schwerner,
Yep.
Andy Goodman, who were killed in Mississippi along with a black man named James Chaney. They were killed, murdered. They were civil rights workers who came down, at least the two whites, Schwerner and Goodman, went down to Mississippi
Yeah.
from, I think, the New York area or
Yeah.
somewhere up there, specifically to do civil rights work, and they were murdered.
Yeah.
William Moore,
Mm-hmm.
a man who was so committed to civil rights, a white man,
Yeah.
came from Baltimore, Maryland, was planning to go to walk from, I think it was it Chattanooga? May have been from Chattanooga to the Mississippi capital of Jackson to hand deliver a letter to the governor of Mississippi, protesting segregation. And he was murdered
Yeah.
in Gadsden, Alabama.
Jesus. Yes.
Viola Liuzzo, a white woman who was assassinated by the Ku Klux Klan on Highway 80 between Selma and Montgomery in 1965.
Yeah.
I mean, we can name names of white people who did not have to get involved.
Didn't have to get involved.
And
Yeah.
who never went back home
Yeah.
because they were killed because of their belief in integration and voting rights for black people.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, too, the opposite of patriotism is not critique, it's indifference.
Indifference.
And I just think the worst American is not the person that kind of says, let's be accountable, let's do better. It's those that just kind of,
Meh.
you know what I'm saying? That have no commitment to anything but themselves, their personal bottom line, or their personal well-being.
The other thing too, I think celebration requires context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even receive an award from someone
Correct. Yeah.
who doesn't know what you have achieved.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Like if the person putting the hood on you for your doctoral degree doesn't have one, you're just kind of like, but bro, you don't really know what I went through to get here. So celebration does require context.
Yeah.
So full history is required for us to be able to fully celebrate 250 years.
I do think, because I know that there's a certain, and I think, Kirk, you may get what I'm about to say, there is maybe the majority culture, there's the African American culture, then there's the immigrant culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes some of my immigrant brothers and sisters who've come in from really difficult situations,
Yeah.
and have worked and labored and been able to kind of share in the American experience, tend to look at African American grievance sometimes with a certain suspicion.
It's true.
And the only thing I would probably caution you to be aware of is that the experience of an African American born here may be a little bit different
For sure.
than somebody who comes as
So
an immigrant. Not saying that you don't deal with prejudice or profiling or the sorts, but even economically, from an educational standpoint, there are certain rights or liberties that are granted to an immigrant that were not granted to those who were born here.
So you're
and that's
absolutely
why
correct. Yeah.
that grievance is there. And so it's not just a matter of if you work hard, everything's going to be okay.
Right.
No, there are actually systems in place, whether it's redlining or black codes or things of that nature, that are literally designed to keep you as an underclass and to keep you from accessing things that will make the life better.
Yeah, no, my parents were very big on this concept that while they migrated here, outside of my older brother, the rest of us were born here. So they were cognizant of the fact that they were raising Black Americans, even though their heritage was Jamaican. And so they went to painstaking details to ensure that we understood.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by the context.
Yeah.
Understood the history of the struggles that people endured in order for us to benefit what the current scenario is. So that whole concept of celebration does require context. I mean, you don't have the historical narrative.
Right.
You can't really fully approach 250 years with without the full context of what happened.
So we've talked outside and how much I absolutely adore your parents for specifically for that reason, because you recognize too that when you do have immigrants that come over, Black immigrants that come over, in our education system we're not teaching the correct history. So they may even go to our schools and be like, it wasn't that bad. I remember I was doing a show one time and I cast this incredibly talented Jamaican woman. She had come over to America and as an adult. And so, we were doing a play about civil rights, and we did the Woolworth counter scene. And her concept of what civil rights movement essentially was very much centered around Martin Luther King, but not necessarily why the civil rights movement was necessary. So when I broke down to her the Woolworth counter and what the scene was about and why, they were protesting and what was happening during the protest and people pouring soda on you and, her mind was blown solely because she came over and she admitted later on when she went and looked it up, she was like, I just thought African Americans were like whiny and lazy and not realizing that there was this attachment to like, what you all were doing. But it's solely because in our just regular Americanized, context, nobody talks about what slavery was really like and what was happening really during Jim Crow and what was really going on. You see we only get a couple of paragraphs in your standard American history book, and then that's it. So it's very difficult to put a context to that unless you have people like Kurt's parents who are just like, no, we're going to tell you everything so you can understand.
Even that idea of slavery has to be cruel even for it to work. I just think a man's innate nature is to be free. So even to keep me as a slave, it's got to be a cruelty that's inhuman and systematic, for it to last that long. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we're going to run out of time here soon. What does it mean for each of us? I'd like us to discuss. What does it mean to be patriotic for you at this particular point in time? Or does it have any meaning for you at this point in time?
So to be patriotic for me is to make sure that my children and myself, we have full context. I go back to the same thing I said before. I think fully understanding. One of the things that we went into mission field for 5 years, my family and I, and in order to go, our faith tradition requires you to go through what they call pre-assignment and post. So you have this 3-week course that you have to take before you go and after you go. Before we went, one of the things they really drilled into us is that you've got to learn the context of the culture where you're going to serve. You must learn the context of the culture where you're going to serve, and that really helped. That kind of balanced the playing field, because unfortunately, the historical piece was that missionaries were going to teach. They weren't going to learn. They were going to teach.
Yeah.
What they were sharing with us, you will learn immensely even as you share. And so I feel being patriotic is a responsibility to fully understand and know that while I am living one way, your experience might be totally different. And it isn't necessarily one is right or wrong. It's just I've got to hold room and hold space for the fact that it can be different. And so that's the way I look at it. And I know it's totally different than what the modern society says. It isn't about, flying the flag or, I mean, I love this country, but for me, I also recognize that this country is made up of people. People are flawed. And so we just have to keep that in mind while you hold grace for, and hope that things will get better and things will be made right. Currently, it isn't in that space, and we're on this side of heaven, so there's an expectation there.
I think
Loaded question in it.
It is. Yeah. I think it's patriotism is to acknowledge that for me, it's complicated. That's actually something you can pick on Facebook when they talk about relationship status.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. There are aspects of it where, I can defend this country in certain moments. At the same time, I recognize that I have the responsibility to make it defendable. Like, I can't sit and watch everything, go tragic and be like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, it's my responsibility to vote, and it's my responsibility to make a stand for things that are happening that are bad. And it's my responsibility to make sure that my children know what they're walking into. And it's our responsibility as parents to make sure that we create where we are, whether it's our neighborhood, whether it's our city, that pours into essentially what makes this country, to be patriotic is for me to raise these amazing kids that we have to be better members of society that will continue to grow a better country. And if I don't do that, then I think that is what means for me not to be patriotic, is to be like, these are the cards that you were dealt. Be like, no, let's figure out how to change the cards. Like, these are the cards, you got these cards, yes, but now we're going to teach you how to play them in such a way so that we can grow to have a better game moving forward.
So a couple things, I'll try to say it succinctly. I do want to just say this in terms of patriotism, though, and you kind of asked it and you kind of took it back in terms of as Black Seventh-day Adventist or as Seventh-day Adventist and so on and so forth. One of the things my patriotism is not inclusive of my religion. This idea of God and country. Those things do not mix for me. Those are two separate compartments. There's a loyalty that I have to God that transcends the laws of country. Acts 5:29 says, if they come into conflict, it's better to obey God than to obey man. And so I just think that there is this attempt to fuse the two.
It's so true.
When Jesus made it clear, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, I would fight for it. And I think a true American value is the separation of church and state, that Congress should not pass laws to enforce a particular religion, even if it's the one that I hold true. I think the strength of the church should be through the preaching of the gospel, through proselytizing, our witness, our character. I don't think it's impaneled in government. So this idea of God and country, it is a false notion. It is a man-made notion. It is something that people have done to use religion to foster political ideology. And I just think we have to stay as far from it as we can. But as a Black person, the reason I am patriotic, and what I mean when I say that, I just mean I'm an enthusiastic American, is, again, we got to move away from the narrative that somehow America subsidized our existence here. Our existence here subsidized this country. I'm enthused about it. Our forefathers built it, bled for it, fought wars to secure its freedom. Even when we talk about the American way of life, it we do not have that way of life without us.
That's right.
When we look at many of the innovations in science, in medicine, the contributions to art, to culture, to education, we played a critical role in it all, and America would not be America without us.
That's right.
The America that we love and we espouse and say this is the way of life that they've packaged out and sent to the whole world, it would not be that without the experience of Africans living and thriving and producing to the culture and the comforts that we have here in America. And so I just think that it's just critical that we do not just allow a certain group to manage the whole narrative about who made America great.
Yeah.
It's great in part because, God allowed this group of people who were brought under these circumstances to be able to thrive and to not react with violent hatred,
Mercy.
but to react with almost, what I would describe as Christ-like love.
There it is.
In the face of the way we were treated, and to still be able to love this country even when it did not love us. And so, does that mean, man, I have my head in the sand? No, I see what is happening.
Yeah.
I know, I could always learn more. I know what has happened. And so, but again, patriotism for us is a call to action.
It's a call to
It
action.
is a call to continue to have a civic responsibility that is governed by a conscience that is, governed by the Word of God. And so, I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. I know I've talked a lot.
Good.
I
No,
love
that's
it.
good.
I love that.
I love that.
That's good stuff.
I think it is a call to action. I also think it is a declaration. And for me, the declaration is this, because of a lot of what you just said, this is my country.
This is my
There we
country.
go.
Yep.
And not only is it my country for those reasons, but because my ancestors, my parents,
Yep.
and my ancestors are buried here.
Yep. You're buried
So
here. Yep.
I ain't going anywhere.
Ain't going
and, and I'm not going to allow just anything
Anybody.
to happen
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
without my voice being
Heard. That's
Love
right.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
Doc.
it.
All
Yeah.
right.
That's it.
Well, this has been our pre-4th of July conversation.
Yes,
You're going to
indeed.
breathe. God bless you. And don't forget, as you celebrate this nation on the 4th and its 250th anniversary, however you choose to do that, or if you choose not to do that, still remember to stop,
Stop.
pray, and breathe.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debleaire Snell, and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.